Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everyone. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage. We have a number of live events that are taking place here. Actually, House Speaker Mike Johnson just concluded here a little bit ago, and we will catch some of that. But right now, Attorney General Pam Bondi, there she is, testifying at the Senate hearing. Let's see what she's talking about.
Chicago, because they're not enforcing the law. And they're running their operations, as I stated earlier, two of the biggest terrorists, narco terrorists, we arrested right in Chicago because it was a safe haven for them. And they're operating these networks around our entire country. So we are going to
now these get to be lengthy, safe. You know, so I'll just join this.
If these
Senator Cornyn was asking her some
our government to
great questions.
People work with paychecks. They're going to do it anyway, whether or not the locals are cooperating with them. We're going to be there protecting all Americans in this country. Senator Cornyn.
I find it the comparison between the nation's Washington D.C. here, the nation's capital, where the mayor has welcomed the federal law enforcement agents, which as I travel around the city, are providing a level of deterrence against crime that I have not seen before. And Washington, D.C. happens to be one of the most dangerous metropolitan areas in the country. So seeing what the response has been by local officials here in Washington, D.C., seeing how the public here who visits here as tourists
versus Chicago versus Los Angeles versus
this, federal
Portland
presence, it strikes me as a stark contrast between what we've seen in places like Chicago. And I just don't understand how elected officials who are sworn to uphold the law and the Constitution of the United States could take the position that, no, we don't want a safer community in our major cities that have a high level of crime like Chicago. Doesn't it strike you as bizarre?
Senator Cornyn, I don't understand it either, because we've been
this is what I'm always saying, right, another day in bizarro world
with Mayor Bowser. She has been an incredible partner at making DC safe again. We've been working with her, we've been working with the police chief, we've been working with their staff, and the numbers speak for themselves. 3,156 arrests, 294 illegal guns seized. I think the number's probably higher today. Carjackings down 87%, violent crime down 45%. Right here in the nation's capital. I have been out there countless times before they go out on the streets, and I'm watching the DC Metro Police. I'm watching them with the Transit Authority Police, who of course keep our metros safe. I'm watching them with our DEA, FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals, Treasury agents, and HHS has even provided doctors out there to help the team. And what they are, they're a team, and they are working hand in hand. If you couldn't see their shirts on their insignia, you wouldn't know what agency they were with. I've truly never seen a partnership like that in my career, and it's working together, and that's what Illinois is refusing to do. And I wish these senators, I wish Senator Durbin would condemn the governor of Illinois and have him work with us.
You should have heard him earlier. Oh,
like we're doing now in Memphis. We have the governor of Memphis. We have our two great U.S. senators in Memphis.
Sheldon
We have
White
the
House,
mayor of Memphis the same, the chief
some of
working
these
hand in hand
people
there.
just
Last week, maybe the week before last, I lose
This
track
is
of the
Senator
days,
Cornyn.
we had the head of the Metropolitan Police Union for the District of Columbia here, and I asked him about violent crime in our communities. And I asked him whether there was a straight line from the open border policies of the Biden administration, which helped facilitate the cartels from exporting their poison.
and I think
to the
that's part
United
of the
States,
pushback
only
we're
to
seeing
then
now.
find
It's
it
coming from these
distributed by
cartels.
criminal gangs
You know,
who then engage in violence in our communities like Chicago to protect their territory and the profits that go along with that illegal drug trafficking. But I want to ask you about another aspect of the open border policies, and that has to do with one of the least reported
I'm going to stay with
tragedies
this
and
just because it's
scandals
Senator Cornyn,
associated
and
with
then
the
I'll
Biden
bail
open
out.
border
I've got some
policies,
other
and that
stuff
has
for
to do
you.
with the 500,000 children, sometimes called unaccompanied children, UACs, 500,000 children that the Biden administration allowed to be placed with sponsors in this country that were largely unvetted and subjecting them to who knows what, and then abandoning them by taking the position that it's not the federal government's responsibility, it's local child protective agencies that have to follow up on these kids. So they couldn't tell you whether they were being trafficked, recruited into gangs, whether they were going to school, whether they were getting the health care that they need. They couldn't tell you because they didn't care. So I know that President Trump's administration, the Department of Justice in particular, has located 22,000 of these 500,000.
Okay, I'm not
children.
saying this isn't important. I'm going to leave this. Let's leave this here because I've got some other things and maybe we'll pop back in and see what else is going on. But there are some other things that I also wanted to share with you. House Speaker Mike Johnson, just speaking himself, he held a news conference. I think this was it was less than 15 minutes long. I want to share a portion of this. And he touched on a number of different things.
The right thing. We have all advocated to keep the government open. We have all voted repeatedly over and over to keep the government open. And it comes down to the necessity of 60 votes in the Senate. We only have 53 Republicans. And so we have to have a handful of Democrats who will wake up and do the right thing and stop inflicting pain on the American people so that they can score political points.
I'm not holding my breath for that, are you?
Hey,
Do you think all those federal employees will receive the back pay if they keep their job? And then also,
Yeah, there are lots of questions about federal government employees and whether they're going to get back pay. I'm more interested in.
Mr. President in the room this morning. Media and information is ubiquitous. It's 24/7. It's live all the time, and it's on the internet. We don't need taxpayers funding that, and they were all left-leaning, biased organizations. We're not doing that again. And
Let's go back
but
a little bit.
we
I want to
don't need
catch
that
what he's
service
talking
anymore.
about.
Look how many media outlets are present in the room this morning. Media and information is ubiquitous. It's 24/7. It's live all the time, and it's on the internet. We don't need taxpayers funding that, and they were all left.
Which is a great point. Why should you fund PBS and all of these various different?
There are many that we could list that are just outrageous. It has nothing to do with the current proposal to keep the government in operation for 7 more weeks so that we continue the appropriations process. We're trying to fund the government. And
Yeah, I think the more you know about these things, more important it is. I think allows you to see what's actually going on, what's transpiring.
It is true that in previous shutdowns, many or most of them have been paid for the time that they were furloughed. But there is new legal analysis. I don't know the details.
So what he's talking about here, and I caught this earlier, he's saying there's legal analysis out there. Will you actually have to provide back pay to government workers? And this is what he's talking about.
Just saw a headline this morning. I'm not read in on it, and I haven't spoken to the White House about it. But there are some legal analysts who are saying that that may not be appropriate or necessary in terms of the law requiring that back pay be provided. So I'm sure that'll be a there will be a lot of discussion about that.
I'm sure.
But there are legal
Like everything else. Like everything else in Congress.
That, if that is true, that should turn up the urgency and the necessity of the Democrats doing the right thing here. Even more pain, more than I just listed, for more people. So we got to figure it out. Back row, yes, sir.
Some of these questions are really tough to hear.
If this is a priority for you, why not bring the House back and vote on a reauthorization for NFIP or for WIC or troops pay or all those things for that matter?
Well, there's a lot of issues that we need to address, and we work on flood insurance, the flood insurance program all the time, those of us in hurricane states. But the work of the House has been done, and we have to get the Senate to reopen the government so that we can come back and handle all of these very important end-of-the-year issues. There's a lot of things on the table.
You listen to the media and some of the questions, man. I just
right
like,
now
what
to
the?
do that. We do have to.
What
extend
in the
funding
freaking
program,
hell
annually,
are these people
make
doing?
sure that it's there, but we'll do that. We'll do it in due course. There's a lot of end-of-year issues that are being conflated with this very simple issue of keeping the government open, and that is the first and most.
Now catch this, because he's absolutely right. You have issues that are being conflated, and in the media are masters at that kind of stuff. And I love the way he's pointing out. He does it calmly, very soft-spoken guy, and absolutely right on target.
Immediate priority, and we must use every leverage point we have to force the Democrats to do that, and that's why we're handling the schedule the way we are. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, sir. You've talked about Leader Schumer's record with regard to continuing resolutions. Your record, you've voted against continuing resolutions in the past, including when Speaker McCarthy was the speaker. How do you explain your stance now versus yours previously?
Yeah, different circumstances, different times. When we did CRs in the past, you had leverage points of things that when the Democrats were trying to put their partisan priorities in, we were trying to use whatever leverage we had in the minority to take them out. Very important distinction right now. We did not put in Republican priorities in the clean CR. I could have put some of our priorities or poison pills or things that Democrats had done in the past to us. We didn't. And that's why there's nothing to negotiate right now. People say, why aren't you negotiating? I don't have anything to offer. I can't go to a clean CR and say, let me pull off the Republican priority and make it more palatable for you, because we didn't add that in. It's simply a status quo continuance. One of the things we objected to back then was these were Biden-level policies and spending. I still object to that. But what I'm trying to do is keep the government open.
Did you see his eyes? I still object to that.
As I gave you the long background yesterday, the summary of how we got to where we are, the appropriations process is working again. And we're going to be able to reprioritize federal spending, but we have to allow the time for that to continue, and we need 7 more weeks. But every day that they keep the government open, it gives us less time to finish the job.
McCarthy was the speaker, and you guys had.
Let's see what else he's got to say here.
Furloughed workers receive back pay, of course. We have some extraordinary Americans.
Yeah.
Again, is a deliberative body. We got is closed, and as
there was some really good stuff near the end here. Let's go later on.
As soon as they reopen the government, and we are 100% consistent and united on that. I spoke to the president at length yesterday about that very thing.
Here we go.
And yes, he wants to solve problems. The president is a deal maker. He likes to figure these things out and works towards solutions, and that's why he's a bold, strong leader that America needs right now. I'm excited to work with him on that. I have the exact same opinion and position. But again, none of this can happen until the Democrats stop inflicting pain on the American people and turn the lights back on.
You can't say that loud enough.
Back to work. I certainly pray and
Democrats inflicting pain on the American people. That's what's going on. Okay, there it is. We're going to leave it. That was the end. So you had House Speaker Mike Johnson giving. Let's go back, because Senator Amy Klobuchar is going off on Pam Bondi right now. Here we go. Let's come back to this.
That I would end the weaponization also of the Justice Department, and that America would once again have a one-tier
Klobuchar had her head down,
and that is what we are doing in this country.
We saw this with the president directing an investigation prosecution of Chris Krebs, the former head of cybersecurity, Lisa Cook, who is a current governor of the Federal Reserve, Director Comey. And the president, and I know you have said that you will not
James
discuss,
Comey, for good reason.
discussions you've had with the president about Comey. Is that correct? That you won't testify here about that? Because I was going to ask you if you received advice, instruction, or request from anyone at the White House to direct the department to engage in any investigations, prosecutorial actions, including decisions not to investigate or prosecute anyone.
I'm not going to discuss any
Okay.
conversations.
But then how about the Truth Social post on September 20th, 2025, in which the president said, "We can't delay any longer, Pam," using your name, "not bringing criminal charges are killing our reputation," his words, "and credibility." And then goes on to tell you to prosecute a member of this committee, to prosecute the
What do you
Attorney
think
General
about
of New
that?
York,
The
and to
prosecution
prosecute
of James Comey.
Do you consider that a directive?
I
to the
never thought
Justice
we'd see it.
Department?
Honestly, I never thought we'd see it.
Senator Klobuchar, President Trump is the most transparent president in American history. And I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years.
Okay, it has been reported that you initially pushed back against
I love
reports,
watching
against
these.
requests by senior Trump administration
the popcorn.
officials to push out or fire the acting U.S. Attorney in Virginia, Eric Siebert, who's a conservative Republican, who made the decision that that the evidence was not there to prosecute Comey. What made you change your opinion?
I am not going to discuss personnel decisions.
Okay. Is it true that the career prosecutors in the Eastern District of
tough.
Virginia found that
She
there was
is tough.
insufficient evidence to bring criminal charges against former Director Comey?
I am not going to discuss pending cases because Comey was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia by, I may point out, one of the most liberal grand juries in the country.
Okay, let's go on to other firings or terminations.
Well, yeah, of course you got to move on to other things.
The Eastern,
Oh, sorry. I'm going to stop that. I wanted to share at least a brief piece of that with you. And I bet we're going to be talking about that in more detail coming up tomorrow. Okay, because there's more news to share, and I'll do this pretty briefly. We're approaching the 20-minute mark here. The president on Truth Social, deranged Jack Smith, got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, a real sleazebag. The president says, we talked about that on the radio show this morning, the things that we are learning and how the Democrats had weaponized the government. Now, Fox News is reporting this morning
protecting federal law enforcement is antithetical to public safety.
Then Vice President in 2015 told the CIA he would strongly prefer an intelligence report documenting Ukrainian officials' concerns with his family's ties to business deals in the country. He preferred that not be disseminated. In other words, Joe Biden didn't want the information to come out. CIA Director John Ratcliffe discussed the records, and he said it's an example of politicization of intelligence. So Fox News has the declassified records. Representatives for Biden did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. Hard to believe. Hard to believe, isn't it? So this is just absolutely crazy. So here you have Joe Biden during the time he was vice president. Sorry. He didn't want intel disseminated showing the Ukrainians' concerns over his family's business ties. Not much of a surprise because we saw I think a lot during the Biden administration that you and I will never see. I mean, I think there is a lot more to come out. I wanted to talk very briefly about Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He's got a new book out, How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will. This is his new book that's out. FoxNews.com has a short preview of it. I want to go right to the end. And he says, was or is the media always wrong? Nope. But when your job is to report facts and you report opinion, or you use facts selectively to advance a narrative, or you continue to balance on your nose like a trained seal what your side tells you, and you squeal with delight when the other side stumbles, or you rationalize that it's all okay because it's all for America's own good, because Trump hates democracy, well, people stop believing you. Think I'm being a snowflake? How hard would it have been to find out that the Hunter Biden laptop was real? And couldn't the media see that President Joe Biden couldn't finish a sentence without taking a nap? Everyone else could. I really want to get the audio version of that book. I'm a subscriber on Audible, and I thought that would be a great book to listen to, because I'm a big admirer of Senator John Kennedy's of Louisiana. And he is, I heard him on the Fox News Rundown this morning, and he was talking about some of these issues in his new book, and talking about things in the government shutdown. And he expects it's going to go on basically until people stop acting stupid. And I thought, well, that means we're going to be, this shutdown's it's going to go on for quite a little bit of time before we finally see the government back in business. So we'll see. All right, my friend, you have made it to the end of the video, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade, the folks whose comments you have been seeing. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll leave it there for now. I hope you'll be back again tomorrow. Please share. Please subscribe. Those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Be a part of what we're doing. Share it, and be a part of what we do each day. Be glad to have you as part of the Bunker Brigade. So until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and go.